Okay, we got a question from Josh, and Josh says, my dad is 65, young man he is, and tries to be active, but due to a back injury a long time ago, almost 30 years at this point, he has a huge mental block about using any kind of weighted equipment. The slightest snore in his low back is enough to turn him off. Well, that's interesting. Ultimately, if he wants to use weights ever again, that is 100% okay with me, but I think he might enjoy kettlebell swings. Oh boy. If he's gonna do kettlebell swings, I would spend more time doing like hip thrusts. I mean, a while doing hip thrusts. Maybe even a while doing like my exercise, the Bulgarian goat bag swing. I would not do ballistic work. If your father fears lower back, because if he has a few bad reps, he's going to feel it in his lower back the next day. It's not injury necessarily, it's just fatigue. I always say it certs. If your hamstrings are sore the next day, I'm a great coach. If your lower back hurts, you weren't listening to me. And so, but to get someone who's a little tentative about weights and lower back, it's going to take you a while to progress the swings. He's 65, and by the time he might be ready to swing, and he's comfortable emotionally, he probably has already done enough exercises that he doesn't need the swing anymore, if that makes sense. My thought is, if he starts doing hip thrusts now, hip thrusts, real direct glute work, I think clamshells, that's where you push your knees out against resistance. Maybe a few, assisted squats to get his glutes working hard. By the time, a couple of years from now, when he doesn't fear that lower back anymore, he's already doing a really good program and might not need to learn anything. I think there is value to learning exercises, but, next year he's 66, the year after he's 67, and, you are racing against the clock a little bit. Josh feels that the kettlebell swing is the perfect low impact implement for a guy his age who wants to move more. If this is something we can bond over, I figure it might be worth it to buy him a kettlebell and have some fun father-son quality time swinging kettlebells. Okay. What weight would you recommend? He's 6'3", about 225, and fairly strong despite not weight training. Almost universally, I recommend for men the 20K bell. Almost universally at first. For women, I recommend the 10K bell. And that is just something I've come to. It's been a long progress down. In your father's case, if we can get him doing some just basic, they used to be called pelvic tilts, but unweighted hip thrusts on the ground. The Canadians call the finish position the glute bridge. There's some value there. Loading him up, I would suggest bands. I have Brett Contreras' hip thrust machines. I have the Lite, L-I-T-E, and I also have the Sorinex one. Either one might be pretty good, but I like bands to teach the hip thrust at first. So giving kettlebell weight advice for the swing, let's make sure he knows how to hinge correctly first, and then let's worry about load later. The 20K is a great present, but I worry it's going to just become a door stopper. It's funny because as a kettlebell instructor, I think I should have had an answer that was like, get the 16, the 24, and the 32. But I think before we get there, we need to make sure the hinge is locked in, his understanding of get the hamstring sore is good. I want sore hamstrings, not sore lower backs. And we're gonna have to walk with him a little bit, because once you've recovered from an injury, and I speak from the heart on this, it is very difficult to want to, go back down into that injury. So I understand your father's hesitancy, and I think we can support him with the hip thrusts, assisted squats, goblet squats, and it might be fun to have him do goblet squats for a while with that 20 or 16 or whatever is appropriate, you think, and then slowly move over into the loaded hinge family. Okay? Didn't exactly answer your question. I know that. But sometimes these post-injury questions are really difficult for a true yes, no. Okay? Thank you.